All right, here we go. Cups up, toast to the Morning Word crowd. God bless you. God bless America. Thank you for tuning in, whether it's live or recorded later. And from wherever you are, thank you for being here. Our only request is that you just share it, and ask the people that you share it with to share it. That's all we ask. We want to give a shout out to all of our educators. Hope you're enjoying your summer off. Our first responders, our police officers, firefighters, and our paramedics, and also our military personnel. Don't forget to pray for America, pray for our leadership. 1 Samuel chapter 30. Today's morning word is cancel culture. Cancel culture. You guys know that is a prevalent thing right now. In other words, if your message, what you stand for, what you communicate, or the narrative that you hold to does not match up with what other people want to hear, they just cancel you. You know, they put you off Facebook, put you off YouTube, don't hire you anymore, whatever. Y'all know what cancel culture is. Well, that's not a novelty to our era. This was happening in David's era. And David, in the 1 Samuel chapter 30, David has gone to war. He suited up and gone to war, actually in 1 Samuel 29, with the Philistines. That's where he's hiding, in Philistine territory, and he has formed an alliance with an arch enemy, a king, one of the 5 Philistine kings, in exchange for safe dwelling in the land of the Philistines to stay safe from Saul and his assaults on his life. And so the Philistines are gathering up in battle array to go to war. And they're going to war against Israel and against Saul. In the ensuing war, Saul's going to lose his life. Now, God was at work behind this to keep David out of the fight, because the 5 Philistine kings decided that David was too much of a risk to flip sides in the middle of the battle and actually fight against them. So they sent him back to the land of Philistia, where he was hanging out. And he was disheartened, he and his men. Well, they come back to the city that they are staying in, Ziklag, only to find that the Amalekites, another arch enemy of not only the Jews but the Philistines, had raided it and captured every one of David's family members and his men. He had 600 men, all of their family members and all the people that were traveling with him, the women, the children, the servants, so forth and so on. Everyone is gone. They burned the city down. Okay, that's the scenario. So let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 30, verse 1. Now it happened when David and his men came to Ziklag on the 3rd day that the Amalekites had invaded the south and Ziklag, attacked Ziklag, and burned it with fire, and had taken captive the women and those who were there, from small to great. They did not kill anyone, but carried them away and went their way. So David and his men came to the city, and there it was, burned with fire, and their wives, their sons, and their daughters had been taken captive. Then David and the people who were with him lifted up their voices and wept until they had no more power to weep. And David's 2 wives, Ahinoam the Jezreelitess, and Abigail, the widow of Nabal the Carmelite, had been taken captive. Now David was greatly distressed, for the people spoke of stoning him, because the soul of all the people was grieved, every man for his sons and his daughters. But David strengthened himself in the Lord. Then David said to Abiathar the priest, Ahimelech's son, please bring the ephod here to me. And Abiathar brought the ephod to David. So David inquired of the Lord, saying, shall I pursue this troop? Shall I overtake them? And he, that is the Lord, answered him, pursue, for you shall surely overtake them, and without fail recover all. So David went, he and his 600 men who were with him, and came to the brook of Besor. And it goes on to say that they dropped some men off, and then the rest of them went on. I want you to go to verse 19. It says, so David recovered all that the Amalekites had carried away, and David rescued his 2 wives. Now, I want you to see how quickly things change here. David, at the beginning of this story, when he goes on the lam from Saul, begins to pick up a ragtag bunch of disenfranchised people who were sick and tired of being sick and tired. They had criminal records. They were just They were no names, nobodies. They didn't have anything to stand for, fight for, or live for, and they rallied behind David, considered David to be a liberator, so to speak, from Saul's enslaving hands, so to speak. And so they got behind David, and David took care of them all the time. Well, here they are in the story now. David's 600 men. They come back to Ziklag to find that everything that they owned was gone or destroyed. All their material possessions that couldn't be carried was burned up. Their flocks are gone, their herds are gone, their spouses are gone, their children are gone, their grandchildren are gone, so forth and so on. There's nothing there. They are devastated. They are devastated. And so they begin to weep and cry, the scripture says, until they had no more strength to cry. And then something happened. All of David's men turned against him. You see, this is what happens in today's world. When things are going our way, everything is good. But when things stop going our way, everything changes. Now, David's loyal 600 men went from being loyal to him and following him and fighting with him to talking about stoning him. They were going to cancel David. You know why? Because they blamed, oh, here we go. They blamed David for their loss. David was with them. David lost everything himself. But they had to have someone to blame. And that's what the cancel culture does today in our country and in our world. They completely disregard obvious truth that is in front of them and begin to assign blame to anyone and everyone else for their hardships in life, their losses, their disappointments. It's someone else's fault. To the point, get this now, you just read it, to the point that their loyal leader that they rallied behind who had taken care of them, they were going to stone him. They were going to kill him. I'm talking about like that, like that, like that. In 24 hours, 24 minutes, they're going to kill this guy. They're going to kill David because in their mind, what they had suffered or lost was so great they could not come to terms with why it happened. So they just began to look to find someone to fault, someone to blame. That's the fallen human nature. When things start going, you come home and the house is burnt down. Well, dadgummit, Daddy, you left the coffee pot on. It's always got to be someone else's fault. I didn't get selected for the cheerleading squad. Well, it's because, I didn't get accepted into vet school. It's because of so-and-so. It's not my fault. I'm having trouble keeping boyfriends or girlfriends, and it's because I was raised without a daddy. I was raised without a mother. It's someone else's fault. I grew up on the wrong side of the tracks. It's someone else's fault. Why can't we just say, life's hard and it's not fair. And it's not fair for anyone. Everyone has a bad day, has a bad year, has a bad season. Some people have a bad life. You know why? Because we live in a sin-sick, fallen world that's under the sway of a slithery serpent who seeks to kill, steal, and destroy. We've got to stop finding fault. And you know why? Because when you fall back to blaming and shaming, everything stays the same. Blaming and shaming people doesn't change anything. Canceling them out, pulling down the statues, taking them off TV, taking them, whatever, removing their name from a plaque, burning the flag, like that's going to change something. That doesn't change anything. It leaves you stuck. But look what David did. David lost everything, and he didn't say, well, you knuckleheads, it's your fault. He didn't get into the blame game. Here's what David did. He sought a solution. He sought God. He sent for the ephod, which contained the breastplate and the Urim and the Thummim, these were two stones that they would use, the priest would use to determine the direction that God would have them. I don't know whether they cast them like dice or whatever. That's a little bit unknown. But David sought direction from the Lord. And here's what he said. He said, Lord, if I go after, do you want me to go after him? If I go after him, will I find him? If I find him, will we be able to recover? God said, go. You're going to find him. You're going to recover all. See, David encouraged himself in the Lord when everyone else was turned against him. And David sought a solution to the problem. David sought a solution to the problem. He sought God's direction. God gave him a solution. And then David loaded up. David loaded up and said, here's what we're going to do. Here's what I'm going to do. I don't know what you guys are going to do. But the time for crying is over. The time for recovering has begun. And I'm going to go get what the enemy has taken from me. I'm going to go get it. And I've got God's word. I've gotten God's direction. God said it's going to happen. That's what I'm going to do. Now, that's what needs to happen in our world today. I don't know what has unfairly come your way, so to speak, and that has set you back. I don't know what it was. Born in the wrong family, wrong gender, wrong race, wrong address, wrong daddy, wrong mama, didn't have one. I don't know what it was that happened in your life or you think happened that set you back and that is trying to destroy you. But here's what I know. If you continue to blame and shame other people for your losses and your disappointments in life, you're going to be right there when Jesus comes back. On the other hand, you can look around and say, man, it sucks to be me. I've lost everything. But then turn towards the Lord and say, Lord, what do you have me to do? Where do you have me to go? Because I'm not staying here, okay? I'm not staying here. I'm not staying in the land of Olo. Oh no, this town had been burned to the ground. And some people are just sitting around in smoldering ashes, life burning down around them, which may or may not have anything to do with what they were doing, and they're just trying to find somebody to blame. Listen, you can't sit in the smoke and the ashes and recover all. You're going to have to seek the direction of the Lord. Quit listening to the naysayers. David said, they're going to kill me, He didn't whine to God. God, they're going to kill me. God, they're not being fair. It's not my fault. He said, Lord, I lost something too. Now, I don't know what they're going to blame me for all this, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm coming to you and I'm saying, which way do I need to go? And what do I need to do? And you know what? It goes down there and that's why I skipped down to verse 18. It says, so David recovered all that the Amalekites had carried away. Guys, listen to me. The enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And stupid people do stupid things. And wicked people do wicked things. And we're all sinners and fall short of the glory of God. We've all hurt ourselves. We've all disappointed other people, okay? So if we're going to start blaming people, we can start with ourselves and there's enough blame to go around. And we can sit in a circle and hold hands in the burning ashes of our life and the burning ashes of our world, the burning ashes of our country. We can all hold hands and whine and cry and blame and cancel and your fault, or we can get God's direction and we say, Lord, I'm going to get my stuff. I'm going to go, they took my wife, I'm going to get her. Took my kids, I'm going to get them. Took my hope, but I'm getting that back too. Took my faith and I'm getting that back too. Took my joy and I'm getting that back too. I'm going to get back everything that the enemy has taken from me, and I'm going to do it because I don't have anything else to do. I have two choices. I can sit in the burned down rubble of my life and blame other people for my disappointments. Or I can stand up and say, God, where do you want me to go? What do you want me to do? And I can go get my stuff. I can go rebuild my life. I can go get remarried. I can have more children. I can start again in Jesus. In Jesus, I can start again. In Jesus, I can recover. Listen, I'm trying to help myself. I'm trying to encourage you. I'm trying to encourage other people. This world is not fair. Your best friends, your spouses, your children are going to let you down. You cannot, we cannot, I cannot sit down in the burning ashes of all that's happened to us and start blaming and thinking that things are going to change. It's not going to stay. They could have stayed right there till hell froze over and nothing would have changed. Or they can get with the Lord and seek the Lord and say, Lord, here's what we're going to do. I'm seeking your will. And God says, okay, here's what we're going to do. And God will lead us out of the burning ashes of the zigzags of our life. God will help us recover. God will help us recover. God will help us recover. The blessings have not ended. They burned down Ziklag, but they didn't burn down the next city. They didn't burn down the next. And you know what? When they followed God, they found out that God knew where their blessings were. God knew where their families were. And he said, here's where they are. Let's go get them. All right. But we're not going to get them, guys. We're not going to recover. Our lives are not going to recover. You're not going to come out of addiction. You're not going to come out of alcoholism. You're not going to come out of poverty. You're not going to come out of depression, sitting around in the burned down city of Ziklag, whether it was your fault, whether it was really you that started the fire or somebody else, and start blaming people. It's someone else's fault. No, it's not. Collectively, it's all of our fault. We brought sin into the world, and sin is paying its wages. It's killing and it's destroying. But in the middle of all that, God has given us the victory. And it's time for the church. It's time for all of us, to dry our eyes. There was a time of mourning, but it's time to dry our eyes, and it's time to put our eyes and our heart and our focus on the Lord and say, Lord, I am not going to spend the rest of my life in this burned down stump hole called Ziklag. I'm going to go forward, and I believe that you're going to lead me to recover, that I'm going to recover. All of my hope, my joy, my peace, whatever it is, I'm going to get my stuff. I'm going to get the life. I'm going to lay hold of you for the reason you laid hold of me. And I'm not going to let the enemy burn my life down and then me just sit down and start blaming people about it, because blame just keeps us in the same spot. See, in this world today that we live in this cancel culture, they think that everyone else is the problem, and that if they can silence them and put them out of sight and out of mind, that things will be better. Please tell me how much more rich and blessed and hopeful and joyful someone's life is because we've pulled down a statue. Please tell me how much more pleasurable, enjoyable, hopeful, peaceful someone's life is because we've defrocked them and taken them out of their position in government or taken them out of their position in Hollywood. Please tell me what we've gained by defunding the police. It's the police's fault. So tell me, now that we've taken the money from the police and half the police forces have quit, please tell me how our lives have been enriched. Do you see the fallacy of that? Do you see how that leads to nowhere? That they're still in burned down lives, burned down cities, and nothing has changed. They just want to cancel the bad news and cancel everyone around them that they think was responsible for it. But that doesn't change anything. Canceling is not going to change anything. Counseling, seeking the word of the Lord, counseling the Lord's counsel, that's what's going to change things. We've got to turn towards Him and say, God, I'm not going to, I keep saying this, but I want you to understand that I'm not going to sit down in the ashes of this life in this world that has burned down around me. I'm coming to you. We're going to get direction. And I don't know where we're going, but we're not staying here. And I believe that God will lead us. I believe that God will lead us to recover the things that we have surrendered to the enemy. I hope that helps you guys today. I hope you have a blessed day. We'll see y'all tomorrow, good Lord willing, and the saints don't rise. Peace out.